Calgary Stampeders. What the hell? Just when we all agreed that the Stamps were the best team in football, that happens as they fall to a shorthanded Montreal Alouettes club. Let's try to make some sense of all of that happened in Week 8 in the Canadian Football League. Week 8 in the CFL is now behind us, and I am more confused than ever as we continue to break things down here with the Canadian Football League. This is... Yeah, like, I work for 3 Down Nation, for those who don't know, and at the end of all the games, once the week wraps up, we get a chat. Hey, Power Rankings doc is ready. And so we go in there and we fill it out. And I went in... I had just finished watching F1 the movie. Fantastic, by the way. Would recommend. And opened it up, and I was just like, Can I just put everyone in a tie for 4th, and then Edmonton and Ottawa last, and we just go about it that way? Because I have no idea right now. I don't know who is... I have a pretty good idea that a couple of teams are good. I am very confident that a couple of teams are bad, and then everyone else is just kind of... And even the teams that I'm pretty confident are good have shown me at least one example that they're not. So, I don't know. So anyway, that's the segment. No, we'll go a bit more in depth on this. I am frustrated with that Stamps performance. I have talked about that on the radio this week here in Calgary. We'll talk about it here in a second. But I do want to start on the Montreal side of this. Because the Alouettes remind everyone who they are in this football game. And it's funny, like with both Calgary and Montreal, at the second I start really, like, I'm buying what my eyes are telling me, they flip the switch in this game. Because with Calgary, it's like, okay, we have accepted this is the number 1 team in the country. They are the best team in the CFL, and off they go, riding into the sunset, back with the team that made a dynastic run before this recent dynastic run with Winnipeg, who apparently they also suck now. And so, okay, yes, Calgary, they made a lot of changes, didn't know how it would gel. Obviously, it's gelled. This is a good football team. Montreal, excellent roster. I thought when Davis Alexander went down, this roster is great. They can survive without with McLeod Bethel Thompson as their quarterback, and they will be able to stay afloat in the East Division and probably still host the East Final. And then they lose 2 in a row with McLeod Bethel Thompson. And so, on the one hand, I think Calgary, it's going to take some time to gel. And then they go on a great run. So I'm like, okay, this team's good. They have gelled. It's better than I thought, so I'm going to take them seriously. And then they lose. And with Montreal, I think the roster is too good to fail. And then they fail. So, okay, maybe this roster is just going to fail. And then they succeed. So I can't be right on any of these teams. But it was a reminder that this is still a very good football team in Montreal. They still, even with no Philpott and with no Davis Alexander, they still have a bunch of weapons on the offensive side that can beat you up a little bit. They are a fantastically coached football team, which I think this was a very good reminder of that on both sides of the ball. What they are able to do is really impressive, and they will beat you up at the line of scrimmage. Defensively, they will give you a lot of looks that it's going to be tough to kind of figure everything out. So this is a team that just covers all the bases, and maybe I'm not in love with the quarterback, but on some weeks, he's going to be enough, given how good this roster is. So again, a nice little, just a wake-up call for everyone else in baseball, or in football. I'm getting alerts on the Blue Jays game on my phone. A good reminder to everyone else in football that this team is for real. And now on the Calgary side, I'm interested to see how they respond. They admittedly don't appear to be facing the most amount of resistance this week when they take on the Ottawa Red Blacks, but they've been playing some fantastic football. They did kind of get popped in the mouth a little bit here. The concern from my end would be overreacting to one, I'm not even going to say bad performance. It wasn't that. Like they had a lead with a minute to go. A bunch of guys got hurt, and they forced Montreal to beat them with a 58-yard field goal. Let's not panic about this, though, right? So, like, that is the main thing. It's like one loss does not a season make. So don't go out and reconfigure a whole bunch of things just to overreact to one game against Montreal. Keep this in the back of your mind. Recognize that just being tougher isn't going to win you every football game, and Vernon Adams just being crazy isn't going to win you every game, and move on from there. But I am interested to see what Calgary does, and I am hoping that they are not a group that throws the baby out with the bathwater in this one, so to speak. Things are always changing with Couch Potato Diary, so make sure you follow me on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, all of the places, so you can keep up to date with everything going on here in Couch Potato Diary land. Let's move to the team that I cover the closest with 3 Down Nation, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. If you want my full thoughts on this game, they are available in print form over on 3 Down Nation. I hated basically every aspect of this Riders game. Offensively, I should say, because we'll get to defense in a second. But this is one, it is exactly like the first part of the season against Ottawa, Toronto, and Hamilton, where they played with their food. They have this lead. Okay, got a lead. Cool. And I thought after a couple of those games against the Lions, they had kind of gotten out of this. Even that last BC game, where yes, BC does make it a 1-score game, but it was like a 1-score game with 30 seconds left. Who cares? This one's annoying. The fact that they get a touchdown with Keyshawn Johnson to go up 18-4 at the midway point of the third quarter. They don't get another first down until there's a minute 45 to go in the fourth quarter. And they let Edmonton crawl back in to a point where Edmonton had the ball with a chance to win with a minute to go. That cannot happen in this game. Like, you can't. The offense became very predictable. They started running into a wall, and it was every possession was, we run it on first down, we throw it short of the sticks on second down, and then we punt. And then we run it on first down, we throw it short of the sticks on second down, and then we punt. It was so frustrating to watch this offense play. There was no urgency at all. And this is not a defense that should be stymieing you. That was my biggest concern in all of this. And I said it in the recap. They play like that against any other team in the CFL, and they lose that game. It's just they got the good goddamn fortune of playing the Edmonton Elks, who are in a complete spiral right now, and they were able to come out the other side with at least a W. So good on them for that. On the upside, the defense was fantastic. That pass rush, it has been there all season long, but it hasn't been that disruptive all season long. So this was a good performance from all the guys up front. Baldonado, he is so hit or miss. He can either have a great performance or there's a couple penalties that he is taking. Micah Johnson is a beast up the middle on that defensive line. Carney has been good, and Shane Ray is getting better and better each week. Like, he is someone that I could see by the time the playoffs come around, like, wins them a playoff game. He is getting that much more effective on the defensive side of things. So they need to get that figured out. But they are figuring that out, but they need to not play like this. They have to play a lot better this weekend going up against Montreal. And the one thing I will say, because I made the mistake of going to the Facebook comments when 3 Down posted it, and it's, why is this so negative? They did win. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It's like, I understand. Yes, a win is a win. You play 18 games. It is better to win than to lose. And if you win one of them, you take it and you move on. But that, I learned a long time ago that unless you're hoisting a trophy at the end of these games, it's okay to ask how instead of how many. So I still think that these are issues that Saskatchewan has that they need to figure out. Yes, it's cool. They won the football game. Great. Fantastic. I have working eyeballs. I don't know how you watch that game and come away from it being, big dub, got it, nothing to worry about. Because I understand people think the regular season in all sports now just doesn't mean anything and the only thing that matters is the playoffs. This is where good habits are formed. This is where you figure out what's working and what isn't. And it turns out not getting a first down for an entire freaking quarter doesn't work. So work on that one. Try to figure that out. But it is these types of habits, it's these types of performances that come back to bite you. And you end up losing a game you shouldn't late in the season. You end up in a spot where now you need that urgency because you're down by 10 against Calgary. And it's the West Final and McMahon Stadium is actually full for once and everyone's going insane. And now okay, well, we kind of took our foot off the gas in some other points, so what do we do here? Obviously, it's not going to be that deer in the headlights, but this is where you figure these things out now, so you don't have to when it's minus 30 and loud in a place that you're not familiar with come playoff time. So that is why I get so frustrated, is, yes, they won. Great. They would have lost against anybody else. And I personally think that's a problem. Just saying. I just hated how that game looked. On the Edmonton side, Cody Fajardo, this term is overused in sports a lot. Cody Fajardo was as warrior as you can be in a football game. He was absolutely battling. I thought he played pretty well. He was running for his life on every play, but he was still making a few good throws. There's a couple deep passes. The one that Milligan almost intercepted, that Gittins just decided to let Milligan almost intercept. That was a pretty big underthrow from him. But aside from that, he was making a lot of the throws and playing pretty well. But he did all of that, and they still couldn't win against a team that was playing at basically 50% of what they could be. I think this one shows, and this is not to dump on Fajardo at all, but this game shows that Tre Ford wasn't the problem. This game shows that the offensive line is trash. And I don't want to take away anything that Saskatchewan did defensively, but the offensive line is not good. And Fajardo is running for his life, so yeah, no duh, Tre Ford is having some problems. Does Ford deserve some criticism? Absolutely. He deserves a bunch. And is he one of the problems in Edmonton right now? Absolutely, he is. Do I think you solve it by benching him? I do not. I feel like this is something he is going to have to work through to get there. And yes, they needed to protect him a little bit better. The receivers, Gittins will make a couple plays on some jump balls, but there's just not enough around for playmakers to help them out, and they don't have any run game to speak of because, again, the offensive line can't block for shit. Defensively, I mean, yes, they held Saskatchewan to 21. So good on you for that. But that felt more of what Saskatchewan wasn't doing than anything Edmonton was doing. So I think this one really solidified that Tre Ford is not the problem out in Edmonton. Still more CFL coverage to come with Couch Potato Diary this week. Tomorrow, we are going to be looking at power rankings before the full CFL preview comes out on Thursday. And if you want more CFL from me, head over to 3 Down Nation. I do the best bets every week. That'll be coming out probably tomorrow. And also Rider Thoughts after every Saskatchewan Roughriders football game.